we're here to talk about tip-over injuries, and tip-over injuries are when we actually have patients come in from furniture falling on top of them or things that were on top of furniture falling on top of them. So we see that a lot with dressers, bookshelves, and TVs. There's something that was heavy that was on top of those items.
And so I know people have died from, some of these instances, but the injuries that y'all do see, how serious are they? Like, what do y'all see?
So the ones that make it to the hospital, there's only about half of them that actually make it to the hospital. About half of them actually do die at home if this is a significant injury. So the ones that do make it to the hospital, we see a lot of head injuries from those. We see a lot of torso injuries, crush injuries on the chest, and then arms and legs getting pinned or broken underneath those items.
And I know when they come in, they're just probably like, oh, this happened, not really thinking, not thinking it's a big deal or not thinking it's a bigger issue that everyone knows about. Is that what y'all kind of encounter, or do people know?
It depends. A lot of our younger families that have young children in their home do know that it's a risk. They have been taught those things at some point by their pediatrician, or they've heard it from a friend or family member. But a lot of these injuries also will happen in friends' homes or in grandparents' homes, and they are not aware of the risk. A lot of times that is something that has not been educated out to other parts. If you don't have a young child in your home, you're not expecting that dresser might fall over. But these injuries do actually affect people of all ages. It is just a lot more common with younger children.
And I'm glad that you mentioned that, because we do hear of it happening to older people. So can you tell me just like a little bit of that?
Yeah, so dressers in themselves, a lot of this happens with older folks. It's when we're actually putting away laundry. We have all of the drawers open in our dresser, putting away the different laundry, and any time that you have that dresser off balance, it's a risk of falling. If you lean on the drawer just a little bit, it absolutely can fall over on top of you. Same thing with anything that's on top of that dresser. It will definitely be able to fall if we have that dresser off balance even a little bit.
And so how often would you say y'all kind of encounter this situation where someone comes in?
Well, national average, we see about 18,000 of these injuries in hospitals, in emergency departments across the nation. We don't really count that specifically at our hospital. That's not something that we really dive into. It's something that we can go look up if that's information that y'all need. But nationally, it's about 18,000 patients a year.
And why is it important for people to know about this issue?
Well, it definitely affects all ages, but it is one of those things that unfortunately it can be catastrophic. It can be life-threatening. And a lot of these happen in bedrooms. They happen with doors closed where somebody doesn't realize that the injuries even occurred until it's been potentially too long to even save that person. These injuries are often behind a closed door when they do happen. A child sees something very shiny or very enticing, or a toy that somebody put up high, and they really want it, and they're good at figuring these things out. So they climb dresser drawers, or they climb a shelf, they climb on top of other furniture, and it just ends up falling down on top of them.
And so just kind of trying to get some more information out of your previous answer. So you said sometimes people don't even know that that's what's happened.
Yes, oftentimes they just don't even realize that there's been this happen in the room, because when that dresser can fall on top of somebody's chest, it can make it to where they can't even scream. They cannot take a deep breath in to actually call for help. So we don't even know that this has occurred. It's quiet sometimes, or it hits them in the head and knocks them unconscious. There's a lot of reasons that we wouldn't hear these injuries actually occur. You may hear a small thud and not realize what it was.
And do people maybe come a week later, or maybe days later after it's happened, saying?
We do with extremity injuries. Most of the time, if it's a significant injury, 911 is called, or they come immediately after. But we do get some of those contusions and abrasions, as we call it, bruises and small arm or leg extremity injuries days later, where they didn't realize it was quite as big an injury until it starts getting a little worse.
And I won't hold you too much longer. What advice can you give people just on this issue and the importance of it?
So there are a lot of campaigns out there. The most commonly known one is called Anchor It. And that is really the one that is produced by the federal government. We actually have a lot of resources on that website that we can refer people to. And they actually promote different anchoring brands out there. There's a lot of different devices you can buy. New furniture has to come with some kind of anchoring device if it is meant to store clothing. Unfortunately, bookshelves and those kind of things are not required to come with those, but dressers and armoires, those are now required required, if they've been produced since last year, are now required to actually come with those anchors. So we just say anchor it, get it into the wall, attach it to the wall, and this happens with our TVs now. You should be able to find an anchoring kit. They're really not that expensive. You can get them for just a few dollars, and it can definitely save a life.
And my last question for you, is there anything else you would like to add about the issue, anything that you see here at the hospital when people come in with this issue?
You know, just don't be afraid to call 911. We want you to call 911 if you are in any kind of concern. Definitely let them know, get the help to you, and then they'll get you to us. Don't delay. When you have these kind of injuries, we want to make sure that we're here to help you as soon as possible, and just make sure that you're preventing that whenever possible. That's really the biggest thing that we know with injuries, is most of them are actually preventable if we just take a few minutes out of our day to do that.